For over 2,000 years, there was this message, just hidden in plain sight, carved right into a remote mountain in ancient Persia. It was a proclamation from one of the most powerful rulers in all of history, but for centuries, nobody had a clue what it meant. Its meaning was just gone. So today we're going to get into the story of how that incredible secret was finally decoded.
Okay, just take a look at this place. It's not anywhere near a capital city or some big bustling trade route. Nope. This is the Alvin mountain range. We're talking rugged, we're talking isolated, and for millennia, you can just imagine travelers and locals passing by this very cliff, looking up at these strange markings and just wondering, what on earth do they mean? And maybe more importantly, who in the world put them there?
And yeah, that really is the central mystery here, isn't it? I mean, why would you go to all that trouble, all the effort to carve a gigantic message on a cliff face in the middle of nowhere? What could possibly be so important that it had to last for eternity? I mean, something designed to outlast entire empires, languages, and countless generations. What was it? Well, to find the answer, scholars had a truly monumental task ahead of them. They basically had to crack a code. You see, before the 19th century, people didn't even recognize this as writing. To them, it was just a strange pattern of mysterious shapes. What you're looking at is called cuneiform, and it's one of the earliest systems of writing ever developed. The big problem, though? The knowledge of how to actually read it had been totally lost for centuries. The breakthrough, the real aha moment, came when scholars figured out that the inscription was trilingual. It was saying the exact same thing in 3 different languages. So they started with names they could guess, like a king's name. That's usually a good bet. And from there, they could just slowly, so painstakingly, piece the whole alphabet back together.
And after all that incredible effort, the code was finally broken. I mean, for the first time in 2,000 years, the mountain could speak. And its first words, they weren't about some epic battle or hidden treasure. No, they were about the creation of the universe itself.
So the message kicks off not with a king, but with a god. It proclaims the incredible power of Ahura Mazda, the great god who, it says, created everything, the earth, the sky, and humanity itself. Right away, this sets a tone of, divine authority and cosmic importance. But it leaves you wondering, who is making this grand proclamation?
Right? So after invoking the literal creator of the universe, the author, well, he finally reveals who he is. And it brilliantly illustrates the power behind these words. In absolutely no uncertain terms, he announces himself, I am Darius. And listen, he's not just any king. He's the great king, the king of kings, the ruler of the massive Achaemenid Empire. This isn't a request, it's not a suggestion. It is a straight-up declaration from what was then the most powerful man on earth. And honestly, his titles tell you the whole story. He wasn't just a king, he was a king over other kings. He ruled the many-peopled countries. Think about that. A vast, multicultural empire. And he saw himself as the supporter of this great world. I mean, this was a man who truly believed his rule was divinely ordained, that he was there to maintain cosmic order. But this still leaves one big question hanging in the air. Why here? Why put this monumental proclamation of power in such a remote and wild place? The answer, as it turns out, is surprisingly simple. And, well, it's very human.
So you see, the inscriptions are placed to command this absolutely stunning view, looking out over this deep mountain gorge. The setting itself, it's part of the message. It's majestic, it's dramatic, it's completely untamed.
Yeah, early explorers who came here described it in these really vivid terms. They talked about peaks covered in eternal snow and a furious torrent of water just carving its way through the valley below. It sounds harsh, right? Almost hostile. A place of just raw, natural power.
But here's the twist. That same wild, rugged landscape offered something incredibly precious: relief. See, for someone coming from the searing heat of the Persian plains, this mountain retreat was a place of unbelievable charm and freshness. It was a royal escape. It was a place to get away from it all.
So, the conclusion that scholars eventually came to is just fascinating. This massive stone monument, this grand declaration of divine power, was basically a very, very elaborate piece of graffiti. It was carved to perpetuate the memory of the excursions the king made to his favorite spot. It was his way of saying Darius, the great king, was here, and he absolutely loved this view.
And he really, really wanted that memory to last forever. So let's talk about the sheer scale of this thing for a second, just so we can really understand how important permanence was to him.
Okay, the scale was just immense. Think about this. Each of the carved tablets is nearly 9 feet wide.
And they're over 6 feet tall. To make his mark permanent, Darius, well, he did not hold back. Can you even imagine the sheer effort of carving this into solid granite on a remote cliff face? And doing it all with ancient tools? This wasn't just a message. It was a permanent stamp on the landscape itself.
And what's even more intriguing is that this might have just been the beginning. Nearby, archaeologists found other rock faces that were perfectly smoothed and prepared for carving, but they were left blank. It kind of suggests that an even grander project was planned, but for whatever reason, it just never got finished. But Darius definitely started a tradition, because after he died, his son and successor, Xerxes, and yes, we're talking about that Xerxes from the Battle of Thermopylae, he came to the very same spot and carved his own inscription, right next to his father's. He repeated the message almost word for word, honoring his god, declaring his own power, and, continuing the family legacy on this very special mountain.
And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? Darius wanted his name and his power to be remembered forever, and he linked it all to this one place of incredible beauty. And you know what? He pretty much succeeded. His message, which was once totally lost, is now read by people all over the world. So that's the question I want to leave you with. If you had the chance to carve a message for the ages, something that would survive for millennia, what would you want it to say?